Hello out there, Round Town families. It's Dr. Miller, your principal, here with you, and I'm so excited to be able to share this video with you in regards to not just our in-person brick and mortar procedures and practices, but also some important information for our remote families. So I appreciate you taking some time to watch this video just to learn a little bit about some of the changes as we navigate through these very uncharted territories and times for our school. So this video, we will talk about several important aspects of school, including face coverings, health and safety protocols, supplies and materials, arrival and dismissal, lunch and breakfast, specials, recess, school-wide practices, meetings and conferences, and back to school night, as well as how all of these different pieces apply to remote learners as well.
Hello, Round Town families. I'm going to share with you about the face mask order. And as we know, on August 17th, the new order was brought down for schools pertaining to what face masks should look like and when face masks should be worn in the school setting. So as we know, all learners, all staff members, all building personnel will be required to wear a mask at all times during the day. In order to comply with this order, the mask needs to cover the nose and the mouth and be secured to the head by ties, straps, or loops. And this face covering should be made or could be made of a variety of synthetic or natural fabrics, including cotton, silk, or linen. They may be masks that you buy online, as I have here. This is a mask that I've bought locally, or you may be looking at a face shield. However, it does say that you can use a scarf, bandana, t-shirt, sweatshirt, or towel as a face covering, and those things would comply with this order. If you are looking at those mesh face masks, at this time they do not comply with the order. And remember, the purpose of the mask is not just to keep your child safe, but the safety of everyone. And so when I put on my mask, I wear my mask for the safety of everyone around me. And I know, guys, friends, we look a little different, right? Wearing the face mask, we sound different, we look different. But know that there are big smiles under these masks, and know that, we're all gonna look the same. We're all gonna be in this boat together. And, as I've done for my son, I've bought him some fun little patterns and some fun little things for him to wear, and just to make him feel special in his own little way. But I just want to reiterate that it is important that when your learner enter our school, face masks are required. And families, if you come to school at any time and you need to get a learner, it is also a requirement that you come and wear a mask as well. Thank you. I know that an important part of a learner's day is that time where they are working in a special. Whether it is music, art, PE, or library, they are all important to the development of our learners. And with that being said, please don't worry, they are still happening this year. Our specials will just look a little bit different. Instead of our learners traveling in the hallway to go to those spaces in our building where we usually have our specials, the opposite will happen. The teacher, our special teachers, are now going to be traveling to the classroom. And again, this is to minimize that traffic in the hallway. This is to minimize those spaces coming into contact with multiple classes throughout the day. So instead, our learners are going to be within their classroom. They will have the special teacher come to them. As far as PE goes, there is going to be time for them to go outside, run around, and obviously when the cold winter months come, they will be able to utilize that gym space and still utilize those things that are really important to the PE academics. The other thing that I want to mention is that this year, your child will have a week long of the same special.
One of the most important parts of what we do at Round Town School is working with different materials and supplies. And due to our pandemic right now, we are currently in a situation where what we used to be able to do with the sharing of lots of materials and supplies cannot happen. So what we have done this year is we've ordered everyone a special toolbox, just like you see here. And they are nice and sturdy and durable so that they will last us for the year. And inside these toolboxes, everyone will have the same materials. Some of those materials will include pencils, erasers, crayons and markers, a small pencil sharpener, as well as a glue stick and scissors. So over the course of the year, some of those materials may change based upon some of the things that we are doing at school, but the idea will be that each child will have his or her own box and therefore won't be sharing materials and supplies. For our remote learners who will be doing their learning from home, you will also receive this very same toolbox with those same supplies inside. And you will receive that toolbox with its supplies whenever you pick up your child's iPad before the start of the school year, for those of you doing remote learning. And for those of you also in the remote learning, we are anticipating probably once a month you will actually come to the school and you will be able to retrieve and pick up different supplies. So how things are a little different than when we did remote learning at the end of last school year, we will be able to provide you with different kinds of supplies and paper and books and other materials while you're doing your learning from home.
Recess is another important part of our day here at Round Town. And we want you to know that recess is still happening. All learners will receive 2 15-minute recess time slots a day. Our learners will be socially spaced. There will only be one classroom out on the playground spaces at a time. And the teachers will be taking the learners out during that time.
One of the other things that we wanted to really share with you are some of these bigger events that are usually held here at the school that involve families coming into the physical building. So obviously that's not something that we're going to be able to do this year due to our circumstances. But let's just take a few of these events and go into a little more detail. So traditionally, the first big event that Round Town holds where families come back into the school is Back to School Night. And this year, our Back to School Night is scheduled for Thursday, September the 10th from 6 to 8 p.m. And we know that that's traditionally been a night where families would come to the school and not just bring their child, but older brothers and sisters as alumni to Round Town. And unfortunately, we are not going to be able to have a back to school night in person. Instead, teachers will Zoom their back to school evening night with you so that you can watch at home. And there'll be much more information coming home about what those Zoom sessions will look like, as well as the timing of those Zoom sessions.
Hello, Round Town families. I'm talking to you today about lunch, breakfast, and birthday treats. So let's start with breakfast. What I need you to know is that your child will be making their breakfast choice the day before. So this is something to have a conversation with your kiddos beforehand. I know some of our teachers are actually going to be putting out calendars for you to fill in what days they're going to be buying and if they're going to be buying lunch or breakfast. Just one way to sort of help alleviate that stress and as well as give our teachers the opportunity to really be able to take a good head count. So breakfast will happen in the classroom in the morning. It will be brought around. Learners will be given time to eat in the classroom. And from there, then, they will also make their lunch count decision. Lunch count will be ordered for them, and they will eat in their classroom unless your child has a specific allergy. Then those classes will be eating in the cafeteria. They will be socially spaced, and they will all be facing one direction. So again, just to ensure that the lunch and the breakfast goes smoothly, it is important to have that conversation with your child ahead of time so they know if they will be eating breakfast the day before and if they will be eating lunch. As far as birthday treats go, at this time, we're just asking that no birthday treats come into our building. So for this year, that means that we aren't going to be serving cupcakes or brownies or cookies of any sort. We are not accepting any, so we're just asking at this time that we hold off on that. And this, again, is just really to ensure the safety of all of our students and to minimize any of those things that are coming into our building. So thank you.
This year at Round Town School, we are not going to be able to have volunteers come on a daily basis. And we are very sorry about that, and we certainly appreciate our volunteers who come in on a regular basis. But we will not be able to have volunteers come into the school. Additionally, in terms of visiting our school to drop off an item that perhaps your child left at home, or you want to personally bring in a paper or something for the school nurse, such as medication. Those items will be addressed as an as-needed basis, on a person-by-person basis. So what you will do if you are going to drop something off here at the school is to come up and push the gray call box that is located just outside the main entrance. At that time, you will be greeted by either Mrs. Fetro, our receptionist, or Mrs. Zarfos, our school secretary, and they will give you further direction on what to do with those items that you may be bringing to drop off at school or to pick up. Another really important event that we have 2 times a year is our parent-teacher conferences, and we traditionally have the first set of conferences just prior to Thanksgiving, and then we have another round of conferences that come sometime in that early to mid-March timeframe. And again, we will certainly share out all the information in terms of times and how that will play out. But again, all of our conferences this year, as well as any of our parent meetings, will be held virtually through Zoom. And we would be sharing those links with you as appropriate and figuring those timings out as we get a little closer to those. One of the most important things that we would like to discuss with you is the idea or the notion of if your child is sick, when you should send them to school and when you most definitely should not. This year we'll be providing everyone with this attendance decision tree, and I'd like to just take a moment to review this with families so that you have an understanding or an awareness of what to do when your child is exhibiting certain signs or symptoms. So we start here at the top, and the very first statement says, do you believe that your child or family member has been exposed to COVID-19 in the last 14 days? If you can answer yes to that question, then your child should definitely stay home, and obviously you would contact your primary care physician, and then you would report the absence to school. If you can say no to that, then obviously you can send them to school. But then, if your child is feeling sick with any flu-like symptoms, for example, stomach-related problems, elevated temperature, any respiratory symptoms, and/or cough, if you can answer yes to that question, we most definitely want you to keep your child home. So those are the most common signs and symptoms of COVID, and those are the signs and symptoms that we really are asking families to keep a close eye on as your child wakes up and before they come to school in the morning. And we ask that if you see those signs and symptoms, please just keep your child home. Now, the other really important piece to keep your eye on is your child's temperature. We are looking specifically at a fever of 100.4, right? And if your child is showing a fever of 100.4, you should most definitely keep your child at home if you see that. Now, if your child is fever-free for 24 hours without the use of any fever-reducing medication and they're feeling well, then they can definitely come to school after 24 hours of being fever-free. In addition, we are asking our families to please take your child's temperature on a daily basis. That is not something that we'll be doing at Round Town on a regular basis, taking all the children's temperatures. So we're asking that you be the front line at your home and take your child's temperature on a daily basis. Anything 100.4 or above, they definitely need to stay home. We thank you for your cooperation in the events of all of these pieces so that we can keep not only our learners safe, but also our faculty and staff. So we wanted to take a moment to share some special points for our remote learners who are choosing to do their learning at home this school year. So there's a couple important points that you should be aware of before we start school on August 28th. So the first important point that we want to share is our pickup times. And this information will come to you in an email that comes from me through Skyward. But for all of our remote learners, that is our children staying at home to do their learning this year, you will have an iPad pickup time that is coming up next Tuesday, August 25th. Now you'll have a range of hours that you can pick up the device for your child, and that time would be from 1 to 6 p.m. There will also be some other materials that will be shared with you at that time. But again, we really need all of our remote learners to pick up their items on Tuesday, August 25th, between 1 and 6 p.m. And again, more details will come home to you in an email from me. We also want to share for our remote learners, those learners staying at home, that there will be communication that starts to come to you beginning Tuesday, August 25th, from your child's remote learning teacher. And that will include a link that you can tune in to a special Zoom where you will start to meet and greet and be introduced to your child's remote teacher. So again, look for that specific communication to come home sometime on Tuesday, August 25th. And finally, we want to just point out that even though your child is learning remotely from home, we are going to be requiring that every day starting at 9 a.m. your child comes and is part of a Zoom session that your child's remote teacher will set up. That's how we will take attendance to make sure that your child is present, and you can expect them to be on Zoom daily from 9 to 10:15, and then there will be another day of the week, not all 5 days, but one day of the week, where your child will participate in a small group session from 10:30 to 11 a.m. The rest of your child's remote learning day will be filled with independent learning opportunities, videos, app work, as well as other items deemed necessary by your child's remote learning teacher. And again, in these initial days of the remote learning experience, your teacher will be setting up the schedule to get everyone into the groove early on. So we'd now like to take an opportunity to share with you a couple really important points for our brick and mortar learners. Those are our learners who will be coming back physically to the school to do their learning. And we wanted to share, first of all, that we know that our brick and mortar learners are anxiously awaiting to find out who their teacher will be. And as you can all imagine at home, this has been quite a moving target as people have been coming and going and sometimes coming back again. So that, in addition with figuring out who our remote teachers will be, has us in a spot like we've never been in before, where we are really at the 11th hour trying to make magic and put it all together. So I can let you know that we are planning to release the classroom teacher assignments Wednesday morning around 8:00 a.m. in Skyward for our families. So that would be Wednesday, August 26th, that you can look for that. And again, we know school will be coming just a couple days after that, but things are changing, as you can imagine, quite a bit. So another piece that we definitely wanted to share with you is the class numbers and averages. So what we are looking at right now for the in-person learning experience, that is brick and mortar, we are looking at kindergarten at approximately 17 learners per class. For our first grade, we are looking at about 17 learners per classroom. In our second and third grade, the number increases a little bit to 18 and sometimes 19 in a classroom. So we just wanted to be very clear that our numbers are still pretty high. We will do the absolute best that we can to keep those safe distances. 6 feet distance will most likely not be able to occur. In most cases, we think we can get to about 3 feet. So we wanted to share that with you. And the final point for our brick and mortar learners that I know Mrs. Faby will go into much more detail with is the face coverings. So we know that that is something that is on the hearts and minds of many of our families. Face coverings are mandated from the Department of Health for all of our students K through 12. And I just like to share with families that the mask, right? The mask is definitely something that your child can wear, but a face shield is also 100% acceptable. If you wanted to wear both the mask and the face shield, that would obviously be acceptable as well. But please, families, know that if your child is present, they need to have some type of face covering on. Mrs. Faby and I thank you so much for tuning into this video. And we know that now more than ever, you have many questions, whether it be from the remote learning end or the brick and mortar learning end. And we just want to say we appreciate your grace and your patience as we work through pretty much every single school-wide practice and system and schedule that we've ever created, and having to reinvent many wheels, all in the name of keeping our learners and our faculty and staff safe during this time of pandemic. So I share with you every morning it's a great day to be a Panther, and even though this summer has been filled with challenges and obstacles and hurdles, I continue to say every day is a great day to be a Panther, and I promise you, together, as a community, as a family, we will work through these challenges in the name of helping your child reach his or her full potential.